Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do another Q&A video. The last one seemed to have some pretty good responses to it, and I've received a bunch of questions since then, so I figured we'd try it again for round two. So without further ado, let's jump into the questions and my answers. All right, guys. So the first question came from Jason Cobrin, 931. What books do I recommend on collecting? So there's lots of books that I enjoy. Mike Payne's 300 Greatest Baseball Cards of the 20th Century. I like the concept, and I'm a big list guy. I also appreciate the descriptions and the range of cards that he covers. I like Michael O'Keefe and Terry Thompson's The Card, Collectors, Conmen, and the True Story of History's Most Desired Baseball Card. I like the history of not just all the shadiness around the Honus Wagner card in the 80s, but also the history of the shadiness and the shady guys in the hobby. It's kind of fun to read. It's also a great bio and one of the greatest players of all time. Topps Baseball Cards, the complete picture collection, 35-year history, 1951 to 1985. Just a generally great book on kind of the earlier Topps cards. Tom and Ellen's Apollo's The T206 collection, the players and their stories. Got that one in my background right here. I think it's a great book. Lots of great information on the biggest and most important set of all time. Also their book, The Diamondback Collection, 50 Greatest Cards in Sports Collecting History, which I've got right here in my background. Also, not only can you see the best cards in the hobby and the highest possible grades for the most part, it's also interesting to read how Ken Kendrick put such an incredible and iconic collection together. For autographs, I really like the Zappala's The 100 Greatest Baseball Autographs. You can see some images of autographs that are only found in the most iconic collections and museums. And a great book for those getting back into the hobby or looking to start acquiring iconic cards, especially if they're ungraded. I'd highly recommend Ryan Nolan's Spotting Fakes, examining the top 50 fake sports cards. So Jason, those are my kind of favorite books that have to do with collecting. Next up, my buddy Andrew Deutsch, one of the best commenters on YouTube. He asked me a few questions this week. He asked, if you could meet one Major League Baseball player, past or present, who would it be and why? It would be Jackie Robinson. I would be very interested to hear from him what he went through when he broke the color barrier, but also his feelings about what he experienced. How did he manage and overcome that level of diversity and hatred? Did he have I don't know the best way to say it, like a quote unquote like mentor? Was there somebody that he would go to and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with today. This is what I'm hearing. What's your advice? Or did he just manage it on his own? And then I would also want to know what's his own take on his impact to the game. I think that would be just really interesting. Andrew's next question: what are 5 undervalued and overvalued cards? So guys, these cards I'm about to say, these are my opinion. I'm sure I'm gonna piss everybody off. It's not my intention, but in my opinion, I think the following 5 cards are undervalued. The 59 Topps Bob Gibson, you could pick up a centered one, rookie card of an iconic pitcher from the Golden Era for about $600. I feel like that card should be worth more. The 65 Topps Steve Carlton, just one of the best pitchers of all time, his centered rookie card for $200, that's cheap. The 68 Topps Johnny Bench, the greatest catcher of all time, centered for less than $400. That's a great deal. The next two are a little pricier, but still think are undervalued. The 41 double play Joe DiMaggio, Charlie Keller. You get a early playing days DiMaggio card centered for $750. I think that's a great deal because all those other cards are quite a bit expensive in a 4 or higher. Really, they're very expensive in a 1 or higher. And then the 5th one is the T206 Tris Speaker. I just think for $600 you can get a 115-year-old rookie card of one of the greatest players of all time. I feel like that's pretty undervalued. I think that speaker, the T206 Speaker, should be worth more. Overvalued. These will, I think, probably piss a bunch of people off. Not my intention. The 2009 Bowman Chrome Draft Prospects Mike Trout. It's hard to find one for less than $6,000. The Superfractor sold for $4 million. That's insane to me. You could pretty much get any other card in baseball other than a 9 or 10 Mickey Mantle 52 Topps, or a Honus Wagner card, or maybe the the Babe Ruth, Baltimore News. Other than those 3 cards, you could pretty much get any other card in the hobby for the price of a Mike Trout rookie card. Next card on the list, this one, I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for it, but still, the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. Sorry guys, but the clean one goes for between 45 and 50 grand. That's a lot since the population of ones between all the major grading houses is about 450. I think that's a lot of money for that card. I think that card in a really high condition is worth a really high price because they are very, very in demand, very iconic, and quite rare. But I think in like a 1 or a 2 or an authentic, when you see these sell for like 50 to even 100,000, I feel like that's a lot for that card. But to be fair, my next card on the list, I'll include the 68 Topps Nolan Ryan. That one in the 10, they're very rare in the 10, but still $1 million for that's a lot. In the 9, the price point for that's pretty insane. They are fairly rare, but still, I think once you get down to like a, 5 or 6, it becomes more reasonable, but I still think that card is probably overvalued. The next one is the 63 Topps Pete Rose. It's tough to find a nice one for under 2 grand. It's an ugly card. Pete Rose was a great player, but, he wasn't, a top 20 player of all time. I think that, his rookie card price, even in a low grade, is a little high. And then 5th, this is a more generic answer. Any modern prospect parallel that sells for over $1,000, right? You see these cards selling at auction, it's this new prospect kid. He's never swung a bat in the major leagues, and his rookie card, gold foil retrofractor auto just sold for 100 grand. Cool. Comes up to the majors, and he doesn't get a hit, gets into the minors, and then stops playing in the minors after 2 years. Great investment. So personally, any of those cards I think are kind of insane. Obviously, when it hits and you do get somebody who has a fantastic career, it does go up in value. Potentially, that's great, but I think for the most part, those are just straight, highly risky gambles. All right, so Andrew's third question. Prior to making the top 50, were there any players that I thought would be ranked higher or lower? So he's talking about my top 50 countdown of the greatest players of all time. I think I screwed up the ranking on Tris Speaker. I think he should have been ranked higher. A player that I was kind of hoping would have made the list, but didn't, because again, I used pure, career statistics, was Jackie Robinson. He came close, but didn't make it. And then just in general, the guys that made the list where I thought they'd rank, if I thought they'd rank differently, I had Ryan in the 40s. I thought he'd rank a little higher. And I was actually surprised that Whitey Ford ended up making the top 50. It was his postseason performance that got him there. So those are my questions from Andrew. Thanks for those questions, Andrew. So next question comes from one of my favorite subscribers, Julia, spelled like the car, not Louis Dreyfus. She asked, can I do a Garbage Pail Kids break with my daughter? Sure thing. So, daughter of Return to Collecting, why don't you open this first pack of Garbage Pail Kids?
Hi.
All right.
Okay, so this is our first pack. So this is Walker of Fame, Coney Connor, Space Bill, Tent Trent, Pierre Peeper,
Pierre Pierre.
Yeah. Gray Pooped On. Oh wow. We got a burnt to a crisper tone sunscreen lotion.
That's kind of cool.
Rafting Rick. That's
a cool one. It's some sort of a parallel. Look at the border on that. All right.
That was our first pack.
That was our first pack, and then I'll rip the second one. Let's see what we got in this next one. Brainless. Flighty Faith. Mask Off Maddie. Tiki Bart. Universal Ursula. That was kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Winnie Wiener Schnitzel. Sweet.
Oh, I love that.
Ahmad Amazon. And lastly, another one of those parallels with the blue stuff on the border. Drenched Dakota. That one looks super gross. All right, Julia. Well, there's a couple packed garbage pail kid break with my daughter, the daughter of Return to Collecting. All right. Thanks, sweetie, for doing this.
Bye.
Bye. And then my last question comes from the Bronx Burner, aka West 238th. If that's the case, I was just in your neighborhood last week and grabbed a corned beef and pastrami at Liebman's. That was fantastic. Your question was, you mentioned that you travel a bit. Do you ever do baseball related activities when you travel? Well, I sure do. So recently, since you asked this question, I recorded a couple things that I had gone to in the last few weeks. So let's check them out. The first one, I went to Cards HQ headquarters in Atlanta. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm in Atlanta today on a business trip, so I figured I'd swing by Cards HQ before I go to my meetings. So let's go check it out. Okay guys, here we are, Cards HQ. So you go ahead and go in and check it out. All right guys, well, it was a pretty cool store. They had some cool stuff in there. If you're into modern, they've got a lot of great modern stuff, a lot of Pokemon, lots of boxes. Obviously, there's areas that they have set up to be able to do the breaks and the break arena, and then all the different like YouTube video recording areas is kind of cool. But from a vintage perspective, there was about two cases, I guess, and they had some okay stuff, but the quality wasn't super great. There were some cool cards, but in a little bit lower quality. But I will say their prices seemed very reasonable. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed that. Next, when I was in New York, I went to Babe Ruth's grave. So there you have it, guys. There's Babe Ruth's grave. But if you want to check this out, there's his view. So he's got this beautiful view of the valley and the hills and the trees. So that's Babe Ruth's view. And lastly, well, I was also in New York, basically at the cemetery across the street from Babe Ruth's grave. I went to Lou Gehrig's grave. All right, guys, so we're at a different cemetery nearby to Babe Ruth's, but this one's beautiful with all these trees in bloom and the bushes. And we're just gonna walk through here. But yeah, this is a very beautiful cemetery. Lots of trees, little rolling hills. And then we come to this headstone here. Lou Gehrig. This one's cool too. People brought bat and ball, and there's a baseball card on it. But yeah, there's Lou Gehrig's headstone. It's interesting because the cemetery itself has a historic tour, and this is spot number 29 on the historic tour. Lou Gehrig. And he has a nice view too. He's got the trees and a little garden here, and then this is where his family is buried. So there's his parents, and then there's his. All right. There you have it, guys. Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth's graves. All right, guys. I hope you liked the Q&A. We talked about some baseball card stuff. We talked about some general baseball. We talked about places I've been. We popped some cards. Hope you guys enjoyed in general. If you liked the video, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions you want me to answer, please also put in the comments below. Appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.